Anyways, welcome to episode 10.
Hey, the big 10.
Technically, we were already at our 10th episode, but the last episode. But I mean,
this is our actual
now
10.
it's our officially numbered 10 double-digit episode.
So. Can we have like some? Can we have some like some
celebration music?
Some celebration like sounds like
some horns,
you know,
like some maybe some
party.
Clapping. What?
The grunt birthday party when you headshot a grunt.
Oh yeah. Oh, with all the kids. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll do that.
that's a good one. That's a good one.
Yeah, I'll do that.
From Halo 3 and beyond. Good old reference.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
The best skull.
Yeah, episode 10.
That's pretty nuts that we made it this far.
Yeah, and there's a lot of progress to be mentioned. You know,
I mean, from each episode to episode, there's always some change that we're making, including this one where I literally just spent the last hour trying to configure how we're recording it now, which hopefully from now on, this will be the way it works. I think so, just because it's more efficient. So I don't know.
Moving into this, the question we have for today is, it's already 2019 by now. So the idea is you go back and you can tell your 2018 self, like, all this advice from the last year. Mm-hmm. And you know, if you could do that, what would you tell your 2018 self from the future?
And just for the record keeping, and for the 10 people who are listening to us still, yes, we are still on the train of discussing a holiday that has been 1 month over already. So if you consider this the New Year's podcast, then
I think that's what it is, because by the next time we have a new one, it's going to be the Valentine's Day podcast in March. So like,
God damn it! It's just every single month there's a new thing to talk about.
And then April's going to be the St. Patrick's Day one,
St. Patrick's,
or the Ides of March.
No, March is St. Patrick's Day.
That's what I mean.
Easter's in April, right?
April Fools.
Oh,
I was thinking we could do an Ides of March episode.
What the hell's the Ides of March?
You don't remember that one thing from Julius Caesar where
got stabbed?
Julius Caesar goes to the oracle and the oracle goes, "Beware the Ides of March."
No,
I
don't remember that.
It's just a me thing.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Maybe it's another case of the Mandela effect that we were just talking about. Like, this part of the book doesn't actually exist.
I still think that the Mandela effect is super wild. For anyone who doesn't know, the Mandela effect is when a bunch of people experience something that hasn't, like, that to them has happened, but to a lot of other people hasn't happened. And a lot of people make it the excuse to call that something that has to do with, like, alternate realities. Like, people experience things in different realities. But I think Aaron's got a better way of calling it that.
It's basically mass gaslighting. So it's when not everybody, but a lot of people misremember something. So like I already told Dan and JP earlier, the classic example is that everybody remembers the line from Star Wars as Darth Vader says, spoilers, Luke, I am your father, but that's not the correct line. The correct line is, no, I am your father. So everybody's like, oh, that's not real. Or whatever.
And everyone erroneously remembers it as being like, Luke, I'm your father, right? Like, that's just like the popular reference.
Or like Berenstain Bears versus Berenstain Bears.
Yeah.
That's in one too.
Oh.
Yeah. Apparently it's Berenstein, but I swear to God, when I was a kid,
yeah, I heard
I'm pretty sure it was
Berenstein.
like Berenstain Bears.
Dude, didn't they have like a TV show and then in the theme song they said Berenstein?
That's what I thought, right?
Okay.
But if you go back and check, unless the people on the internet who are bringing up this conversation again are just making Photoshop edits of it being incorrect to continue to gaslight us, it's just like, what? That's why in this modern day of people able to edit whatever they want, now you're like doubly unsure of if something is the way you originally saw it or not. So
have you seen that stuff? Like, there's the technology to mimic like voices almost perfectly. Like, they do it with Donald Trump's voice, and they're able to mimic his voice and throw words through this program that make it sound like him speaking the words.
Really?
Yeah, it's wild.
That's crazy.
I know.
Here, I can do it right now. Thank you, Kanye. Very cool. I woke up today to have my cup of coffee.
Oh,
and hamburgers.
We've got Donald Trump as our special guest for today.
Yes, I'm the best. I'm gonna build that wall and make them pay for it.
That's the funniest thing, that even after the whole thing, like, they're still not paying for it.
Dude, I mean, if you think about it, the people listening to this won't even know if we're running our voices through a program that just makes it sound like us.
Yeah, we could just be like typing everything out as we speak.
Our normal voices actually sound like this.
Hi, I'm Aaron. This is what I really sound like. You'll never know.
Yeah.
You know, you never know.
This is what you really sound like,
This
right?
is my fake voice or this is my other voice.
Dan just has the same voice the entire time.
Yeah.
There you go.
But I really think I think that Mandela effect is super wild, right? Like whenever I hear about it, I always get like super freaked out about it.
And the origin of the Mandela effect name is that everyone believed that Nelson Mandela was dead or died in jail, but he was alive the entire time. I mean, he's dead now. Oh, there's that tick off the box where we talk about someone or something who died.
We ticked off 2 at one time. We have like a historical inaccuracy and the someone dies within the first 5 minutes of the episode. Yeah.
Eventually, we should just make an official list of the things that we have to tick off.
Next year?
No.
Oh, next episode.
Maybe next episode. Let's make like an Instagram post or something. It'll be like
Yeah.
this. Oh yeah, by the way, if you didn't know, we have an Instagram page where I'll take little clips of whatever episode I'm about to post, and then you can judge for yourself based off of the 30-second clip, and if you want to listen to the rest of the hour-plus long episode.
Get a little bit of a teaser.
Yeah.
All right. So anyways, the original question. If you could go back in time and tell your 2018 self any sort of advice that would better help them get through the rest of 2018, what would it be? That's our premise for this episode. And wherever it leads us, you know, we'll roll. But like, so
and it's that the version of us that we're speaking to is like 2018 just started, right?
yeah.
Okay. I would tell 2018 Aaron that he's a punk ass bitch and he needs to stop crying so much.
Have you seen that meme that's like your future self is talking shit about your present self?
Yeah.
I feel like that's
I'll do it right now.
It's one of my favorite things,
Fuck
right?
you, 2018 Aaron. And then I'll be tomorrow and be like, no, fuck you, 2019 February 9th Aaron.
That's one of my favorite,
That's very true.
looking back posts because it's pretty true. Like I do it all the time with like talking about my high school self and my junior high self. Like I totally trash talk those
I
versions of
100%
myself.
believe that if I went back in time and met my like high school self, I would probably slap him across the face.
Really?
Yeah.
Why do you say that?
Just because when I think about the way I not necessarily acted, but like not even the way I behave. It's just like I know that the way I thought of things back then was different to how I would perceive them now. Like I guess my attitude towards certain things or just like my worldview in general has changed. But I mean, that's the inevitability of growing up, right? Wow, way to get deep. But like, I don't know. In high school, I was pretty like straight edge, and now I'm just like, I don't give a fuck anymore. So whatever.
I think if I were to ever like meet myself in high school, I would have absolutely hated myself because it's just like, I remember that time as being super angsty and just super edgy about everything. And like everything had to be really dramatic and everything had to be like this or that romanticized thing. I think I would have just been so fed up with all the bullshit.
Okay.
Like,
Yeah, you were pissed off.
all the
Pissed
time,
off
right?
JP, yeah.
I mean, I'm still pissed off all the time.
Let's
Well, now you're
change.
more cynical and sarcastic about it. Back then, you were just like pissed off.
Huh, it seems like a better change, I would suppose.
Let's modify this question first to us shit talking our high school selves because this seems to be kind of fun.
Right,
and I'm
right.
kind of into this right now. Dan, what would you say to your high school self?
Yeah, so imagine you're meeting your high school self. Like, how do you think you'd react?
I don't even know. I don't know.
Right, like, it's kind of hard to make. I mean, if you think about it, it wasn't that long ago for us. It was only
I don't know. Like, we started high
5,
school.
6 years. So,
Well, that's when we left.
well,
We
if we're
started-
talking about when we leave versus when we came in, I think, me personally, like freshman year high school Aaron already was pretty different than like senior year high school Aaron.
Oh, yeah, sure.
And now high school or senior year high school Aaron was also a vastly different person than me now, Aaron.
Yeah.
Even like senior year college Aaron was slightly different person than it was me. Because the monotony of adult life hadn't quite hit
Set
me
in
yet.
just yet.
Yeah.
No, I mean, like, I think senior year college, JP is like totally a different person as well. You know, like all of my world views and all of my strong opinions have like shifted over quite a bit up until now. I think I've got like a different set of priorities. And I mean, that's like to be expected at all times, but it's just interesting looking back and sort of like realizing that all the issues and all the big things that you were worried about at that point.
So
like,
small.
Yeah. Like, do you ever go back and like continuously worry about those small things? I mean, I've got like the ever living threat of like, oh my God, what is my life? But like,
Yeah.
that's like
But that's
a constant,
always there.
I think that's your 20s, right?
Yeah.
Like that's you going through your 20s and trying to like put your shit together, get in a box and like.
I mean, I've heard that even continues on until your 30s. So
I heard, I just don't want to believe it.
yeah.
You know?
I mean, I can sympathize with that because when I think about when I'm laying in bed with my eyes wide open, unable to sleep, and dwelling on thoughts of the past,
God, that sounds terrible.
I'll think about occasionally situations or scenarios in high school that I used to think were a huge deal.
Don't do that.
But now that when I think about them, well, I mean, I don't regret them or anything. I'm not like, do people still remember that one moment where I was an idiot? No, I'm like still at the same time, I'm just like, I don't care. But back then, I probably thought it was a much bigger deal than it was. When in reality, nobody other than me probably even remembers it in the first place.
You know, I think that's one thing that changed with me for over a long period of time was a long time, or for a long time, I used to really care about how I was perceived by other people on my smallest actions. And then you just start to realize that like nobody has enough time in the day to care about these stupid things that you're noticing. And the only reason that you're worrying about them is because you're in yourself and you're noticing these stupid things and acting as this like eternal judgment over yourself.
That's true.
Right? But nobody really cares.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right? Anyone who like
your harshest critic.
yeah, precisely. And really like people are just trying to get through the day. And if something happens, like it's not like people are going to remember it forever, especially like when you're going through your job and it's just like this thing happens one time. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. I think we end up inflating all of the issues, but that's the high school, you know, that's being a teenager and like everything is a big thing.
Yeah.
And we don't know how to
Because
process
you don't have, you just
complex
like,
emotions.
you don't
right?
have the life experience or anything else going on. I mean, barring very specific circumstances. Like, obviously, there are individuals at that point who are forced to grow up, but that's like a whole other story, right?
Yeah.
But generally speaking, your life experience at that point is not nearly enough to judge it against something else that's like an issue that's bigger than yourself, you know? Because like in high school, even like people now, it's mostly a fine balancing act of impressing others and impressing yourself, I guess. But like you said, you're like your harshest critic. People want to not feel stupid, but at the same time, they need to impress the other people, which is like,
I think it's only exacerbated by the fact that we have a social media that's so prevalent and prolific, where everything you do and everything you are as a persona is like put on a public forum for
if
people
you
to
choose
judge.
to.
But that's the thing, you know, it goes back into that whole social media aspect where you are choosing and designating what parts of your personality get to be viewed and get to be judged and whatever by other people. But so like, I think the worst part about that, going back on what we said before, is just like, you know, you only see the best parts of people. And so like, it becomes natural that you take those like best parts of people and compare it to the worst parts of yourself. Right. You know, and that's such a toxic thing to do in general, because you end up comparing like things that aren't necessarily equal all the time. And I think that really plays into how people, view their mental health and how people view different parts of their personality.
I agree with that.
To go through another part of our goals for every episode, there was a Reddit post, an unpopular opinion about how like
Ooh, Reddit comment of the day.
that's like 3 in the first 10 minutes. It's like the unpopular opinion was that a lot of the depression and anxiety issues like definitely stem from first world issues, and I think it's a really interesting post because like it's not meant to demean the issues themselves, or not meant to belittle them, but it definitely, at least in my opinion, these issues come from like first world problems of being surrounded by certain social medias that affect your persona and your like view and self-respect in certain ways, and like having to compete with other social media presences and like how you view yourself in comparison to that. I think those are like very real societal expectations that play into how your mental health develops.
Oh yeah. And I mean, that's a very largely, well, I don't know how unexplored it is, but it's still relatively new considering how fast technology exploded. I mean, we already talked about before how smartphones just suddenly appeared in everyone's hands one day. So I sound like an idiot.
Last
right?
Wednesday it happened.
But, you know, now that everybody has access to Facebook and Instagram and Snapchat with a touch of a button, then that whole problem can just proliferate. I can't talk today. Yeah. That whole problem will just explode 100 times more than like late 90s when everybody only had like one home computer and you could only access a phone call or downloading a video or something like that.
Hey, throwback to AIM.
Yeah,
And,
AOL. AIM.
Yeah, the good stuff.
Ooh, it's Aaron was my username. I remember that. I had Master Duelist 470 and I didn't even spell it right. That's something I could tell my high school self. Your AIM username was fucking stupid. Don't do that. Learn how to spell duelist right. I spelled it Dulest, so it's dullest. God.
Actually, it's a pretty cool name, the Master Duelist.
Yeah.
Because it's like you're the master of something, but you're also like.
Well, yeah, I was like, oh yeah,
at
sick
all.
Yu-Gi-Oh name. I don't know where the 470 came from. I guess I thought that was a cool number.
If you really want to go back, like, don't you remember like all of the usernames you'd create for those games, like when we played MapleStory or RuneScape?
Well, I still use mine. Well, okay. High school, no, that was elementary school for us.
Yeah, your RuneScape name is
My
different.
RuneScape name was Azin Midget, AZIN, because they didn't let me use Asian, because I guess the filter like didn't want you to do that. But although everybody back then used Azin anyways, AZN, you know,
it was just cool.
The Azin movement, it's just like those.
Was it a movement?
It's basically the equivalent of like hype beasts now.
Oh yeah.
Before they had the hype beast tag, where it'd be like, I don't know, frosted tips and like cars with spoilers and shit. Like think of like Need for Speed Tokyo Drift. Like those Asian guys. Oh, hey. That was the Asian movement.
Good ref.
But the name that I used wasn't meant to be that. It was just I needed to find a way to use Asian.
Shorthand, really.
I don't know, yeah. And then I had a strength pure. God, I sound like such a fucking nerd right now. I had a strength pure that I named Big Green Doofus. I didn't remember that. And then Hooked on Rice wasn't born until MapleStory, so that was later. But I still use that name, so
it's a good one.
Yeah, thank you.
Right. I think that's an iconic name.
Yep.
Hooked on Rice. Well, I remember I was deciding because you're only allowed 12 letters, and I was like, it's between Rice is my drug and Hooked on Rice. And I was like, first of all, Rice is my drug has drug in it, so that might not get through the filters. And Hooked on Rice has the double benefit of being a joke with wordplay on the Hooked on Phonics
that's
commercial, which is where that comes from.
The other one also sounds like a Kesha thing. Yeah. Like,
Rice is my drug.
little racy Kesha there.
That does sound like a Kesha.
Right. I'm right. I think mine was my RuneScape username was Tchaikovsky7. I was going through a phase. I was really into like specific classical music at that time.
Yeah.
I was really into like telling everyone about it too. Like, I wanted to be the most outspoken, like terrible nerd, and I
probably
loved it.
didn't even need to put the 7, considering I'm pretty sure nobody else ever used.
No, I think I put the 7 because somebody actually had the name.
Wow.
Yeah, I know. I got beat to it.
Wow. Somebody else.
And the thing is, you
never found them.
You always hope to see those names that don't have any numbers, because I always felt like those are the pure names on any sort of server.
They were the ones who got there first.
Yeah. You're like the original. Like, oh man, this guy's the real deal. Like Zazima or Zazima 7. You know, Zazima is gonna be the real.
What a
dude.
legend.
I know. Rest in peace.
Let's try to get him on the podcast as a guest.
If we could pull Zazima.
Oh, hey, look, it's Zazima right now.
Oh my god.
Hey, my name is Zazima. No, I don't know. I'm pretty sure he's a nice guy. I think I've read that he's like a nice person in real life.
Why was that your go-to voice?
I don't know. That's the first voice that I had ready.
Is that offensive?
No,
it might
but that's
be.
my go-to nerd voice, and talking about RuneScape takes me back to those days. So.
Yeah. Oh man, RuneScape was a time. Yeah.
We'll save that bigger discussion for the inevitable.
You want to have a RuneScape podcast?
Oh, god damn it! Should I play some RuneScape background music?
Yeah. You need to play the Goblins tune.
Okay, I'll have some RuneScape. I don't know if that'll get copyrighted, but I'll play in the background anyways.
They really gonna like work that hard for it?
How about Guitar Hero? That was a game.
Yeah, I don't know. I think like if I could go back and tell myself to like what to do, I would still play Guitar Hero.
Hell yeah, dude.
Right?
Dude, that was a huge chunk of our high school lives.
I honestly still wish I could play it. And it's not the fact that I've lost any skill. It's just like it's not set up.
Set up, yeah.
Well, that too.
We can't find any of the parts for it.
They bring that back, it'll make some money.
Yeah, but you know,
No, they tried to. No,
really
it's
dropped off.
It's that new one where I think they call it like Guitar Hero
remake.
Live. It's only 3 buttons on the fret. There's like a top and a lower button for each of the 3 buttons. But it's just like it's not the same, dude. So do that.
It's not the same as where you had to shift over for the hard stuff. It's when you knew you were in the pro mode.
Yeah.
Is when you had to shift over,
Or
right?
cheat and put a rubber band over the green button.
Hey, that was
keep
only
down.
useful for one song. It was better than the toe.
worked.
It was better than the toe technique.
That's the only way I could get through because the rubber band technique never worked for me. Anyways,
It's a really like esoteric comment, right? We were playing through the Fire and Flames and we couldn't get through it except for by really odd and
that out of
extraneous
context.
means. Yeah.
use a rubber band. No, use your toe. Like, where does that come up in any other conversation?
I know. I'm proud of that one being purely our own thing.
Yeah.
You know, like that's exclusively our group's thing.
I would tell high school Aaron though to work out faster.
Like
Sooner.
in general or sooner.
Sooner, not faster.
Pacing?
Yeah. Or to start working out seriously sooner. Because I didn't start working out seriously until high school senior year due to a class. It was called IS or something. I forgot what it stood for. But it was basically like weight training instead of like a regular gym class. And I started working out with my friend Jesse. Shout out to you if you ever listen to this. But he was already like lifting at that time. So I didn't really understand the concept of like working my way up through the weights. So I just like immediately started benching and all this other stuff at the weights that he was going at. And since he was already like a developed guy, like of course it's going to be easier for him. But for me, I was just like struggling real hard. I mean, granted, it made me strong really quick, but then gave me like all these nice stretch marks on my arms.
Okay.
I used to be super self-conscious about it, but I'm just like, oh, whatever. But
Yeah, no,
but I'm
stretch
like-
marks are cool, man. It's
but-
like a battle scar.
yeah, I would have, one piece of advice I would have told high school Aaron is like, start light and work your way up before pushing your limits. Good job getting strong pretty quick though, because it served me well.
Yeah. I think if I could go back and talk to JP, I'd be like, you need to practice a lot more.
Oh, wow.
Right? Like just like keep practicing. Like don't worry about this other stuff. Like let it die.
Mhm.
You can practice as much as you need to and you'll get somewhere. It's really just like the distraction thing. Like you get distracted by so many little things. And it really comes back to like how you don't have those life experiences. One of the best analogies I've heard for that is that your universe in high school is just so small.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Like your conceptions about your world are so small. And then once you sort of branch out into like having a job or going into a city for college or leaving home for college, like your worldview changes drastically because you're forced out of this box.
Yeah.
And so like, you know, I think the big issue with distractions and like making things bigger than they really are is just like, you don't really have anything to compare it to. Like your problems are that big, but that's because like there's nothing to make your problems small.
Yeah.
In your own world, like they seem super huge. And I think like if I could just slap some sense into myself, I'd be like, you'll have to deal with this in like 10 years. So just like chill out for now.
You would go back in time just to give your high school self the existential dread that your college and later self would have
Yeah,
sooner.
Give me more time to think about it.
Okay.
Right? Like it'll just fester for a longer time.
That's true.
I'd get to my cynicism a lot quicker too.
I see.
Yeah.
I think part of the whole small universe thing too is the group of people that you're with, because for 4 years you're subjected to seeing the same couple hundred people, you know, the entire time, and then lo and behold, unless they follow you into college or you see them pretty regularly on your daily life at home, like they're just pretty much not around anymore.
Mhm.
And then your world opens up to all the multiple hundreds of thousands of people that apply, or not that apply, that go to your college and that are living in that town. Like I could count on my hand like how many of my good friends followed me from high school to college, and like of course that was that little bit of comfort that I had, but I thankfully made a lot of new friends in college. Like you said, that just opened up a whole new world because these are a ton of new people that I knew nothing about. Like I couldn't glean anything off of their personalities because I hadn't even just been in the same room as them, unlike I would have been for somebody in high school. Like, you know how in high school there are a lot of people that you kind of knew of, even though you might not have necessarily had a conversation with them. You're like, I know your name. I know your name. Like maybe just because you either have a mutual friend or you constantly pass each other in the hallway or like have the same class or something like that. Doesn't really exist in college, right? Because it's just like you can see one person on campus and then never see them ever again just because there's so many people, and that's just how it is. And even now, that's moving away from college into regular adult life now, same thing. I don't unfortunately see many of my college friends just because we all live in different cities, and that's kind of the nature of college anyways, because everyone comes into one place. Great time, but here out in the regular suburban life, I don't know, now it's just people, you can't even see people's faces most of the time because they're just in their cars and, you know, they're only passing by them for a second. So unless you have a regular conversation with the guy that you're commuting to
In
work
traffic with.
Yeah, I don't know.
Hey, Bill, same place, same day.
There was a pretty good shower thought that I saw the other day, though, that was like the people that you commute with every day to work are probably the same group of people, more or less, every single time. So
I think it really speaks to the issue of proximity in terms of friendships, because like in high school, like you really keep all of your friends based on the proximity and the amount of the types of person you find. So like your selection base is a lot smaller, but it's all built like supremely upon proximity. And then when you go to college, like your friendships are built on proximity as well, but you have a larger like selection base to go off of. And then finally, like the issue why like certain friendships like are harder to sustain is because proximity like doesn't become a thing, you know. And I feel as if like that's like a very real test of types of friendships, whether your friendships last throughout if they last through a long distance sort of deal, or if they like really just depended on the proximity of the relationship to be a thing.
like they existed only within that era because you were
around
just each other.
Yeah, because you inhabited a very similar space and there was like similar things to talk about all the time because you were so in tune with each other's schedules, you know? I feel like that was a thing definitely when I lived in dorms, because like it was like you got used to the same person all the time and you had to get used to that person's ins and outs and like how they functioned and what they functioned with. And so like proximity becomes the main reason behind developing like deep friendships. And not to say that those aren't real friendships, but like when you have to live with someone for a long time, your friendship with them either is going to like fail miserably or it's going to get super deep.
Yeah.
So I think it's so interesting to really understand the proximity of it all. And that's really like the key thing about the small universe and the expanding of your universe as you get older, right? It's really proximity that you're worried about.
And I mean, there's that double-edged sword with social media where now, because we have Facebook and Instagram and Snapchat, you can keep up with people even though they're not geographically close to you, which is great because, you know, obviously I can't drive over to my friend who lives in another state's house every single day just to say hi anymore or something like that. But, you know, it's Facebook or whatever, I can send them a Snapchat and it's like, hey, we can just continue our conversation off there. But like I said, double-edged sword. Not everybody keeps up their friendships, even though we have access to being able to talk to each other all the time. I mean, compared to 20 years ago, at least that option is there now.
I was going to say on the opposite end of it, like at least, you know, that option is completely, you know, useful to all of us now. So, I mean, like it's a lot easier to stay in touch with like your family. You know, there's a lot of these apps, like, you know, to name, like all the group chats that we're in, like they're pretty indispensable actually, because like, they sort of keep a mutual thing going. It mimics proximity, but it's more of like we're using the internet as our proximal habitat. And so like it's kind of interesting how memes work, where like we see very similar memes and we push them out, and we're here for the meme comment of the day.
There's a meme comment of the day.
But so like, you know, we're able to show each other content that we think would be relevant in any sort of regard, and we like build our relationships based on like shared like favorability of this content, right? I think it's
like Big Chungus.
Yeah, dude, Big Chungus was like, that's like the real point between all of us right now.
Yeah.
That's like how we developed our relationship.
Big Chungus.
When I shared Big Chungus with the group chat, man, I just knew that we like meshed right there.
Because, I mean, those conversations are pretty much how we would carry on conversations as if we met in person. And just because we're lucky enough that we understand how that app works, we can continue to have the same level, I guess, of conversation that we would have in person.
You know what I want to tell my younger high school self as well? It's to not worry about texting. I think I made such a big deal about how my texts came off as a kid. And I used to mull over the wording of my text for like an hour.
I thought you were talking about like content.
No. Like I would reread and be like, this sounds really stupid. And I would go over it a whole bunch, right? And now I'm just like, okay.
So you had very proper grammar?
No, it's not even the proper grammar. It's like I wanted to sound funny and I wanted to be an interesting person.
Were you like
over text.
XD?
God, I did that a lot. Like, I still do this, but I put lol at the end of everything.
I do it because
it
lol. Okay, LOL is the least, in my opinion, the least offensive if you want to be offended by any of these internet leaked speak things.
I like putting lol at the end of things because then it adds like an air of whimsy to it.
Yeah, exactly.
You could say something kind of mean, you put lol, and it's like, oh, he's joking.
Yeah.
You know, he's just kidding.
That's why, yeah, I do it all the time.
Right. I do that so
Sometimes I'll put
frequently.
LMAO, even if it makes me, even if it's
Even
if
like
it's a big
a
funny.
second grade above like LOL.
Yeah.
It's like slightly funnier. It's LMAO.
Yeah. I have completely dropped the raffle though. You know,
Raffle, yeah.
raffles are rare now. You don't
That
find
needed
those
to
without-
die in middle school though, where we left it. Right?
Oh, high school.
Is anyone really raffling? You know, like,
Oh.
did you ever raffle? I never
Actually
raffled.
raffled?
Yeah.
I don't think so.
Did you ever raffle now?
If there was a if there was a shorthanded version for how I laughed, it would have been more like pushed air quickly out of my nose.
You mean the
Yeah,
like that?
yeah, that's what I've done. Whatever the shorthand version of that is.
That's my laughing whenever I'm like scrolling. It's like a quick exhale.
Yeah.
You know, like, I have been amused by this.
Or I
content.
like how people say, yeah, I chortled.
No, chortles is good.
It's chortling just like a. Is that a chortle?
I thought a chortle. I guess that is chortling. I like tittering.
Tittering?
Yeah, tittering.
What's that one?
It's just laughing. It's like,
just
like the Peter Griffin type of laughing.
XD.
Oh my god,
Is that episode of Rick and Morty with the lobster?
which one is
That
that?
alien monster, and he was like, eh. After every time Rick said something, he's like, yeah,
Do
this
you
guy
remember
gets
that one?
it.
It's from season 1.
Yeah.
What a classic.
Yeah.
Um,
It's like, now he always makes that noise. Oh.
Grammar is a good point. I would tell my high school self to have
Get-
better grammar.
Why was your high school grammar bad?
No, I mean I knew how to spell things, but I was just really lazy. Like I would use the letter U instead of spelling you,
I kind of do that now just because it's fun.
or like I would use UR to say your, and it's just like I don't know. It kind of makes me. Now that I think about
It's
it,
ratchet.
it just
man.
looks kind of stupid when I'm like,
Does it
only
bother you?
takes 2 more
Would it bother
letters.
you if I sent that to you during our
No.
text?
So the thing is,
shit, okay.
it doesn't bother me when other people do it. It bothers me when I do it because, or when I did it. Now that I think about it, because I know that I have the capability of showing that I properly know how to spell things and I'm not a total idiot.
Huh.
Not saying that people who use that form of spelling or grammar are dumb,
I
but
know, it kind of sounds like you are.
my my own personal standards are higher now.
Wow.
You know.
I'm trying to think of like all of the shorthand I used when I was texting, like after T9, of course, because that was a shit show.
You know.
But like, let's see, all of the shorthand, I think I still use a little bit of it today. Like, I still use kinda, KINDAA.
Because that's like
or how about like shoulda?
I'd use that.
Yeah, although I've been.
But those are legitimate words now, right? Didn't they add those to the Webster's dictionary?
That's stupid.
Oh.
It should have not been. It should have not been.
I kinda agree with you. I kinda don't agree with you.
I sorta agree with you.
Yeah, you know, gonna is a real word. Everybody
really?
is, yeah.
I say that. I still say that.
If a word is used enough in language,
Oh,
I think
dude.
it ends up being justified being officially.
I
added
said.
to the word.
I used to said I ate all the time. I would spell it
I
out.
use that sometimes still.
AIGHT. all the
I
time.
use the 2 I's. I use
Wow.
AIIGHT.
No, I always did I eat because it was like and then right, but without the R. You know, that's where my
Yeah.
logic was leading me.
I still do it. Is it because it made you feel gangsta?
I guess so.
Yeah. I don't know. I'll open up with yo a lot.
Yo,
I don't
yeah,
think
yeah,
I-
that is a very you.
I don't say it in person, but when I text people a lot, instead of saying hey or hi, which I sometimes feel comes off as too like
I understand.
proper or formal, it's like, yo, what's good? Or something like
Whoa.
that. I don't know.
See, I go over that issue by saying hi or hey, but then adding an exclamation point, so it sounds like I'm really like exuberant.
Do you add the
Hey.
2 Y's?
What? No, I'm not in 7th grade anymore. Hey, 3 Ys.
Yeah. Did you ever see that infographic that was like 1 Y is just a greeting, 2 Ys means you're being friendly, 3 Ys is like you have a crush on them, 4
Yeah.
Ys is like, all right, you're pushing this too far or something like that.
Yeah, I used that.
Yeah.
I always go, hey.
Understandable. Yeah.
Beer, JP.
What?
You got beer?
I got beer. Beer break.
Beer break.
Continue.
We'll put a short thing in the middle of here. Otherwise, me and Dan can just monologue.
Riff, man.
Dan, you don't have anything you want to tell your high school self?
I'm thinking about it.
Okay.
I don't know. I feel like a lot of the decisions I make in high school were lazy, and I'm still kind of lazy.
Okay. But you recognize it, so that's good, right?
Yeah. I used to like copy all the Asian kids in high school. Then in college, I copied the Asian kids too. But now in adult work life so far, I haven't been copying.
Do you have an
anybody.
Asian coworker that you can copy off of?
No.
Oh.
So I'm doing my own stuff, so it's okay.
Wow. Really moving your way up in the world, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe you could have told your high school self that'd be like, hey man, after college you don't have an Asian guy to copy off of anymore.
Yeah. Yeah, I was lazy, but I made it through. Maybe that's why I probably could have had more ambition.
High school Dan, have more ambition, says
There you go.
future Dan. Is it future Dan or is it present Dan?
I would say it's present.
Present Dan? Okay.
You want a beer?
Sure, why not?
All right.
Let's see. I would tell
Sapporo.
Oh, that's the Japanese beer, right? No, I always see it in commercials and
Yep.
anime and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Nice. I don't think I've ever actually had it, so that is just a regular lager.
I believe so, yeah.
I would tell high school Aaron to stop trying to impress people. That's what I would do.
I think that's a really useful thing.
That's one of the I think I've already talked about it. I'm pretty sure I already told you guys that I have like post-its on my mirror of just like little sayings that either encourage me or are good messages to myself just to remind myself of how to stay in a good mindset, you know? And one of them is you don't need to impress anyone. And in specifically the words that I write it's you don't need to impress anyone, you big doof. Because I feel like in high school, I feel like I tried to be a people pleaser. Like I tried to be.
Is that what you would call a doof?
No, no. I just use doof because I think it sounds funny.
That's
short for doofus. But for high school me, like I said, I tried to be a people pleaser where I didn't like. Not even that I didn't like people not liking me. It's just I got some validation of everybody being like, I like Aaron, and like of course it made you feel good. Like being validated by anybody makes you feel good, right? That's just the whole nature, like human nature of wanting acknowledgement from other people. But I think back then, since I didn't have, it goes back to the whole population thing where I knew everybody inside and out, like day to day. So I could not pull the strings, but like I knew people and I'd be like, okay, I'll try to impress them, you know, just to get them in my favor. I mean, now I'm like, there's too many people that try to even bother doing that, and
I think that's what you realize when you get a little bit older is that like there's no reason to bother with that just because like you've got so many things that you have to do by yourself, and there's so many people that it's just like not worth your time.
Yeah.
So like a better life rule is just not to be a dick. You know, just try and go through life and be nice. The other idea about that was I think when you're in high school, everyone does that, and it's just part of learning how to like socially navigate. You know, I think. I definitely I did the same thing where I really wanted to be liked and I really wanted to be like a people pleaser, right? I mean, I like being that yes type of person where people ask me something, I want to go, yeah, I'll do it because I understand that it'll like provide favor for me in some sort of capacity. And so I'll do it, right? But I think what it also does is it teaches you a little bit about how your social interaction works, and it gives you a sort of springboard for this is what people are going to be looking for. And to some degree, it teaches you about the functionality of friendships and the functionality of relationships in a certain degree. Like, once you get out of that situation, you kind of realize, like, I was really only friends with this person because, like, there's some sort of functionality between the two of us. Like, we worked, like, together in some sort of way that was beneficial. So we were friends because of that.
Yeah.
Right? And it was favorable for us to be friends. So we kept it.
For me in high school, I don't think it was that I was doing it to be fake or anything, because
no, I don't think being fake.
My
is
whole
the thing.
life, I more or less think I'm a genuine person. Wow, way to raise myself on a pedestal.
Wow, genuine man over here.
I'm not saying I made friends for people just for the sake of saying I like this person likes me. Like that was kind of just a side effect of me trying to attain friendships with people. But I mean, because I genuinely do like becoming friends with as many people as I like, just because I firmly believe that variety is the spice of life, and that applies to the people that you know, regardless of how well you know them, just to get a different perspective on things, or even just to have a small conversation with somebody that you've never had a conversation with before. But back then, I tried to do it where I just, not like it was like Pokemon where I'm like, catch them all or something, but there was validation for myself through validation of others. Like I was getting validation from others, which in turn would make me feel good about myself, which I think was like the root of that. And now it's not a concern anymore. But I'm not saying any of those friendships that I have made in the past during high school are fake at all, because they're all still my friends, still love all of them. Sorry if I didn't connect with you recently, but hey, communication is a two-way street. So if you want to hit me up, you let me know.
Hey man, if those relationships are real, they should all be following our podcast.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah, so where's the
only
support
real
there?
friends would ever listen to my podcast. They're like, yeah, you know what? I didn't get enough of him in high school or college. I need to listen to him.
I need more
on my
personality.
daily. I need to listen to him more in my daily.
I gotta get my errand fix. You know, that's what I've been missing for the past 5 years.
But yeah, I would tell myself not to worry so much. I do think I agree with you that it gave me a springboard into how to socialize with people. Because for sure, trying to become friends with people in high school made it way easier for me in college, and even now to become friends or even just to have a regular conversation with people. Because I, from the get-go, tried to have those conversations in the first place. So that's good on me for that. But don't do it for such, I guess, selfish reasons.
Yeah, and I guess it's like you shouldn't worry about it and make it your prime concern anymore, right? I think definitely when making friends nowadays, it's really trying to find great connections with people and trying to develop good relationships. Not everything is networking anymore, and that's kind of like a good way of describing those high school like friendships is like not that they were disingenuous, but a lot of it was networking as well. And like getting like around and like finding like who you liked and what type of personality you were developing at the same time. Right.
Yeah. It was all about building your own image and reputation.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. And also like the self image becomes a big deal when you're like self actualizing in high school and like trying to figure out little bitty tidbits of purpose and what you're meant to do in society. And it's like it's a trying time for everyone, I would assume.
Yeah. Because your brain's not fully developed, then still not even fully developed for us now, according to medical records.
I think we have a year, right? Before
brains
it's fully
are
developed?
supposed to not stop developing until you're like 25, I guess.
Really?
Yeah, at least that's what I read. I don't know. I'm sure it's different from person to person, but
Is that when we start dying? Is that 25 then?
I think we start dying as soon as we come out the wombs.
Hell yeah. That's metal as hell.
Oh, way to get extra deep. I should add some sort of sound effect for whenever we get deep, just like some like
That's a good one. Like a Hans Zimmer thing.
yeah.
Like,
Something
I think that's
the
a good
Inception
one.
horn.
Yeah, the Inception
that
horn.
can't get copyrighted, so I'm gonna just use that.
I think you got to pull that one. Just
Yeah, I'll do that. Anytime we get deep, I'll put that one ringing in the background.
can we be like implicated if we call it the Inception horn? So let's say we're not going to get the Inception horn. We're going to get that horn that was popularized by Inception, but not necessarily from Inception or tied to the movie Inception.
Well, that's like saying when people call Band-Aids or when you ask for a Band-Aid,
okay.
the terminology should just be bandage, but Band-Aid is a company that makes or made it popular.
Oh,
so
yeah.
Same thing with Velcro. The actual term for it, I think, is hook and loop
Oh,
or something like that, but everyone just calls it Velcro because that's the company that popularized it. So same thing. I'm just gonna call that the Inception horn.
Yeah.
Fuck it.
Yeah, I feel like
Okay.
there's a thing where that actually screws the company over. Like Band-Aids, like since other companies are labeling their stuff as Band-Aid, and they could screw over Band-Aid itself. So I might be saying it wrong, but
You mean
the whole thing around that.
the original company Band-Aid can like sue the other companies that are labeling it? Oh, okay.
But the fact that it's generalized and called by
Oh, yeah.
Like if the second company fucks up something, then they're like, okay, the main company is bad too. Mm-hmm. Oh, I see.
And I also
I
think
forget
that
what that's called.
it's just like how
The Mandela effect.
yeah, it's the Mandela effect. It's really wait, but I thought the Mandela effect was something else.
Oh no! Mandela effects all the way down. All right, what were you saying? Continue.
I completely forgot the train of thought.
Gaslighted yourself so hard you gave yourself amnesia.
That's that's good.
Retrograde.
It seems like a good
Anaerograde
catchphrase.
amnesia. There you go.
What is this, Memento?
Yeah.
Eh.
Anything else that we would tell our high school selves? We move on to our college selves.
I mean, like, I know what I would tell my college self, so I'm just ready to move on there.
Okay.
The only thing
And-
I'd want to tell my high school self is, like, don't be so stupid. Like, don't suck so much.
I'd tell my high school self to have more confidence too.
Yeah, but when do you not... When do you have enough confidence?
Yeah, that's true. I feel like you kind of got to take the fall before you understand
Yeah,
where
you
your bar for confidence is.
You got to understand what it means to fake it till you make it. And then once you get to that point, you start.
Dude, my
building
whole
it.
life is a series of ass pulls. So
What?
yeah, it's just nothing's planned. I just go with the wind.
Oh, that's good. Wait, did you?
Yeah,
I like what
said
you called it.
I said what my whole life is a series of ass pulls.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, like
I've never heard of that.
that book, A Series of Unfortunate Events.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, Aaron's book is a series of fortunate ass pulls. To get to this point, that's all I've been doing. Still doing it to this day.
That's going to be the book that our podcast creates after this first season.
Yep. When I look back on this in 10 years and 34-year-old me, I'll
we've
still
got
be like, yep, I'm just on chapter 34 of Aaron's series of fortunate ass pulls.
We've got 60 followers instead of only 20.
Yeah. And it's just everybody else had to make new accounts because they forgot their logins for their old ones.
That's it.
Dan, you don't have anything to tell your high school self? Do you forget?
I'm just stop being lazy, but I'm still currently being lazy, so it's a continuous improvement process.
Be lazy on the level of your current self.
Or plan your laziness more effectively.
There you go.
There you go.
Nice.
On the the subject of what you tell your are we gonna go college self?
Yeah,
or are we
let's
gonna go
go
back?
let's go
Okay,
college
college
self.
self.
And then after this, we'll do last year.
I think college self is just like focus, like really, really intently focus. And if I'm gonna tell myself things like that could be super useful nowadays, it would definitely be like stay really focused on the goal at hand. Like try not to make a big deal out of like small things, and that gets mediated because I'm growing up in college, right? But then I think the last one is like understand the consequences of not wanting to do things. You know, I think when you're a freshman, there's like this, you're in a new place, you can get away with not doing some things. These are early level classes. They don't matter that much, but like not doing those classes correctly sets you up poorly for the rest of your collegiate career.
Okay.
And so like, I would say definitely focus and definitely like make it like a real grind every day. Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. How about you?
I think that's the same thing. There are definitely points. I mean, even now, not to say that I'm unmotivated or anything, but there are definite dips in my motivation to get things done, especially in in college, due to the natures of class. Like, less so in high school because you're forced to do it. Same thing in college, but it's kind of like I picked this class, which I thought it was going to be interesting, but it's less interesting now that I'm actually in it. So now I don't want to do it as much, which is not a good mindset to have. I should have just done things better, but you're right. I would have told my college self to focus and buckle down a little bit more. I also would have told my college self to try networking professionally more, just because now that I'm realizing how niche my line of work is in the Midwest, probably should have done more academic clubs or any academic clubs and gotten better connections to make this transition into adult life a lot easier. But on the other hand, I'm learning a lot of life lessons as my current situation continues to go on. So not totally ungrateful for that. But yeah, I would have told myself to network better. I think I also would have told my college self to take more chances. Like, I had lots of opportunities for things presented to me when I think about it. Don't know where they could have necessarily ended up. Could have been bad, could have been good, depending on what circumstance or what situation I'm thinking of. But I think I should have been a little bit more daring, just because now that we're out of college, I mean, I heard it a lot while we were there from my sisters or just people who are already in college or graduated before us, but they're like, the setting that you're in now in college, like, you'll never have a bigger pool of people that are around the same age as you that are all facing a very similar situation, which is totally true. I mean, you could totally find other 20-somethings nowadays, but like, you have to go seek them out because we all live in our own houses now and stuff, right? But if we're all combined in one very small section of a city, it's a lot easier to get other people's opinions or ask them for help or stuff like that. And I think I should have taken more advantage of being able to rely on other people around me just that were in similar situations. I mean, luckily we have each other and like other good friends that I can still talk to now, but just like strictly speaking, the logistics of how many people were available or how many opportunities were presented to those people, and by extension me just being in proximity to that, I probably should have taken better care to see that that was something that was in front of me. So Yeah. But no use in crying over spilt milk, right? And
Well-
there's always new opportunities ahead. So
Yeah, and I think like the big point about this is trying to take the lessons that you you would have told yourself beforehand and try to apply them in a very forward-looking manner, you know? So I think like all of the advice you give yourself now, like it seems really obvious, but I think it's so easy to lose sight of them when you're looking forward because you're so preoccupied with like having to do this or that. When really like these basic tenets for like doing things kind of applies in many situations, you know? And as much as they'll change in 10 years, like I think like if you try and hold fast some of these, you know, parts that you should have done, like maybe focusing a little more, maybe networking a little more, like those things they pay off dividends if you really try to work on them. Right. And so I think like the best part about looking back is that you're still allowing yourself to do the things, but you have a better, I guess, grasp of what the consequences are when you don't do the things now. And so like for me, I know what it's like to not focus. Like I know what it's like when you don't do things a certain way and you don't have structure. You kind of like, you fuck yourself a little bit, right? You're not prepared. Like nothing goes well. You blame everything else because like everything is going wrong and it can't just be a me problem, but it really is a me problem. Right.
Yeah.
And so like, it really is a helpful thing. And as much as it is like really cringy to look back and be like, I could have done this. Like what could have been if I had have done this? Who's to say like you would have learned the thing if you didn't do that? And in that it doesn't even go back to that you would have known it already. It's just a totally different scenario.
yeah.
Right. And so I guess the most efficient and productive thing is always to take these like what ifs and like figure out what the issue was and then continue with the better path leading forward, you know? It's like a large scale idea of when you have an issue in piano, you try and isolate the issue and fix that issue in itself, and then you implement. And so it's kind of like, it's a good, I guess, scale idea for how we do everything else. So like, for instance, when you look back, the issue was that, you know, we weren't focused or we weren't this or that. So you isolate that issue and you focus intently on doing that forward. And that becomes like a strength, right? It's the same thing that happened to our confidence, right? Like confidence was never strong points for any of us, at least not for me. I remember isolating that issue and just being like, here's how I'm going to fix it. And I fixed it, you know? And now I might not be super confident all the time, but I definitely know how to come off as being confident, right?
Yeah.
And that's something we addressed in a previous episode. Like just even the intention of being confident gives you confidence. So I think it's really important not to be super discouraged by this, because I think when you get nostalgic, it's simple and easy to be discouraged about what could have been, but really it doesn't have any bearing on what you do anymore.
Yeah. Because hindsight's 2020, right?
It's always 2020. It always seems obvious what you should have done, but it really wasn't in the moment. If you really try and empathize with your past self, everything was really like up in the air and confusing, right? You didn't know what was going to happen day after day. Not to say that it was a hard life, but like you're like definitely making it piecemeal as much as you could.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
That could even apply in the future, because I mean, who's to say that the advice that we're telling our past selves now, our 10-year selves in the future will be like, no, that was a stupid piece of advice. I don't think I would have done that now.
yeah,
Or, like,
right.
It could have been different, right?
Yeah.
Like, who knows?
Never know.
I mean, we don't know if our personal values or worldview or whatever will change that drastically, but it's always would be, but who knows? Yeah, that's kind of how, there wasn't a whole lot in college that I would have changed there, because you know how they have that conversation. I always how people always say they say, like, who's they? Is it like the Jedi Council or what? I don't know.
Make friends, dude.
But there's that argument or that what if scenario where it's, if you could do it all over again, would you? For me, high school.
Speaking about things that you could do over again if you could, so we're going back to trademark
And now it's time for dance facts.
Okay.
genericization. That
Okay.
was the term.
Wow.
Trademark genericization is when companies like aspirin are no longer able to trademark that name aspirin because everybody uses aspirin as a genericized term for that medicine. So I'm just using aspirin because it was the first example on Wikipedia. But yeah, apparently if you're buying an aspirin, you're just buying some random pain medicine.
Like the generic
But
brand.
when aspirin first started, it was literally, that was their brand name. And then they had it as a trademark. But after a while, it's not legally protected anymore. So that's what,
Thank you
where
for
we're
your
at.
tidbit of knowledge.
I want everyone to know that at the podcast, we tie up all of our loose ends.
Yes.
And that's why we did this.
All right.
We should make this a little segment. It should be called like Dan's
Dan's facts.
Facts. And we're gonna put a little stinger at the beginning of every time we say it. You're like, and now it's time for Dan's Facts.
So yeah.
There you go. Thank you for that little bit of information. But that argument of would you do it all over again? For me, high school, no, because high school sucks. I mean, I had a good time in high school, but not enough that it would justify me doing it all over again. Even if I had the knowledge that I do now, I don't think I would do it all over again just because, like, high school sucks. College, yes, I would redo. I don't know how drastically different I would do things, but that's the whole point of this conversation, right? Like, what advice would you have told yourself? And for me, if I were to redo college, like I said, I would have said to A, take advantage of the resources around me better, and B, be more daring in my like personal life. So
How about you?
For what?
So you're talking to your college self. What do you tell yourself?
Just be less lazy. That was the same thing I told my high school self.
That's fine.
Were you any less lazy in college than you were in high school? I mean, think about it. You got a degree.
Yeah, I made it through.
Yeah.
I mean,
you got through. You got a job.
I was more minimalistic. Like, I do literally the minimum to just get by with like a C. But
So you get degrees.
But I would turn it up as soon as I thought I was not hitting that C.
That's fun.
I remember I definitely remember times when like you hit the books really hard, right?
Yeah.
There would be definitely days where like we'd be on the train together and you'd just be hitting it really hard,
Oh yeah.
right? Yeah.
Cramming right before an exam or something?
No, not even cramming. Just like you'd have a test in Dan would have a test in like a week and a half,
Oh,
and he'd be
wow.
like, "I got to know this stuff." So you'd review the entire train right there.
That's good.
Pretty good. Good on you.
So I think like you definitely made improvements, you know, and it definitely paid off. Like it's a big deal,
Yep.
right?
There you go.
So
What about you? What about college JP? What would you tell college JP?
Oh yeah, just
Undergrad college JP.
undergrad college JP.
Yeah.
Oh man,
Ooh.
just like
There's a difference, right?
orthodoctor JP?
man, yeah, it's seriously just like don't get distracted.
Okay.
Like it's so easy to get distracted with all your free time in college. Like, oh, I've got so much time, right?
That's true.
You were talking about like the way that college is set up. Like, you've got so much time to do everything. You really don't. Like,
Nope. Yeah.
it really it moves fast. It's brutal. Like, you know. And then the other thing I think that I didn't mention before is they always say, right, like that it blows by you and you don't and it's gone.
It
before you
does,
notice.
dude.
It's
Holy
gone.
shit, it does.
I was talking to Alex about this recently. My old friend and roommate, still my friend now, just was my roommate before. Like undergrad really blew past us, and we were so surprised because we tried to have this amount of self-awareness when we were getting out of our freshman year. We were like, it's already the first year's over. Like,
Yeah, I
we're
remember
going.
I explicitly remember talking about that a lot.
Yeah, like we're going and it's gonna happen. And then like every time we see each other, it's great. It's like I always miss him a lot, and it's always so good to like get to hang out with him again. But it really just takes me back, like, man, that all that time, the whole like the 4 years we spent together, they just blew right past.
Yeah.
Right. And it's I think like it's not the advice I would give isn't like you need to value your time more. It's more like, you know, understand that every day you spend worrying about something is a day you spend not like taking care of the things that you want to remember. And I think that's a big deal because I remember I spent so much time worrying and so much time like in this part of my life that was so tough and like always stressed out and always trying to do something too much. I think like it definitely took away from like all the experiences I could have had. Not to say that I regret my decision making, but that like, you know, I miss the times. I miss that sort of like innocence of being an undergraduate and like, you know, feeling like I've got so much ahead of me. And like, I still feel like I've got a lot ahead of me.
Innocence is such a good word to use for that.
Yeah. I mean, like throughout your whole undergrad, you are innocent.
Yeah.
Like, you know, you're in the world, but you're still not in the world, you know, and then it starts getting a little bit more like, it gets a little bit
Real.
less black and white and a little bit more like realistic
Yeah.
when you're coming out of it.
I think that applies to us even now.
I think that's how it's gonna be, man.
I very much view myself as still being innocent
yeah.
because there's just like so many life events that haven't happened yet for me
I don't know how
personally.
to
so-
cook still.
Really?
Hey, get on that YouTube. This is where our sponsor, a Blue Apron, comes. I'm just kidding.
Dude, honestly though, Home Chef, like, good stuff. We tried a Home Chef like week. That stuff's so good, dude. It's usually
What's
like
that?
Home Chef is like a it's a service.
Read it from the script that they sent
Oh,
us.
here.
By the way, Home Chef.
Home Chef.
You want me to add the ukulele music that is
Yeah,
supposed to-
can you
okay.
please?
Yeah, okay.
So Home Chef is all about you pay an amount of money and they send you all the food that you're gonna need for a whole week's worth of food.
Okay.
Like 6 meals, whatever you need, and then they give you instructions on how to even cook the food and how to prepare it, like pictures and all. So it's like foolproof. And you go in there, you cut all the shit up, you put it in the thing. You put it in the oven.
in the script. Cut all this shit up.
You cut all this shit up, and then you do it exactly as they tell you to do it. It comes out flame as hell. It's so good.
You guys have experienced this?
Yeah, so Kelby bought a week of it, and we just worked on it. And man, like, those recipes are so dang. Like, you gotta try it out one time.
Okay.
And then what's their tagline? You always got to close with their tagline.
What's their I don't know their
I don't know.
tagline.
You're the one who's reading the script that's sponsored.
Oh, my script. Hold on, I need
Chef
to pull.
life.
Oh man,
it's
my
stink. Cut that shit up. It's stink.
Shut up, it's dang.
Yeah.
That's pretty good.
Home Chef.
We're gonna be the first podcast that they sponsor. Thank you, Home Chef, for making this possible. Does this count as slander? Is this like something we can get in trouble for pretending that they're good?
I mean, as much as I remember, we only spoke good things about it.
Yeah,
so.
that's true. That's true. Pretty good. Okay.
I imagine a Terry Crews character narrating that, or a Samuel L. Jackson. No, you get all that shit and you cut that shit up.
It's dank. Oh, that's great.
Oh man.
This will be a new reoccurring theme. Just us getting
Faking
getting
a
fake
sponsor.
Yeah.
That's gonna be our fifth
Okay,
podcast
that'll
thing.
be-
It's
that'll be another
the
thing
fake
to go
sponsor
about.
video.
Yeah.
You two do the question that I just did for myself, which is would you do it all over again, high school
Oh.
and college?
I might. I'd consider it.
Which one? Both?
Probably college. I don't care about high school. Screw that.
Like-
Like, I'd do college over again though.
What about you, Dan?
I think I wanted to learn some more skills about more discipline skills. Like when you're taking notes, you want to take notes with a certain discipline. Like the 2 columns, pretty good. And then just like knowing philosophy, like the philosophy behind what type of discipline you want to learn.
Okay,
That's cool.
nice.
You can still learn that.
Definitely, yeah. But if I knew it in high school earlier, then it'd be.
But
Oh,
you
yeah.
want
More
to
meaningful.
learn it in that setting.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
That's
remember
something
they had some like half-assed attempts of trying to show us different note-taking techniques, and
Yeah.
it never really came through well.
Uh,
It was like you tried. Like, I'm still gonna take notes the way I want
Here's
to.
your gold star participation
Right,
award.
like, let's move on to graduate school and post-grad. So like graduate school for me, and then like postgraduate, whatever you guys want to do, like working and the grind, the real grind, because you guys are real
the real
adults.
grind.
You're real adults, and I'm still in La La Land.
In the very bare minimum sense of the
that
word.
doctor
for-
status. And
I'm trying. It's gonna. When I'm 30, I'll have it.
That's gonna be sick.
That's
man.
gonna be stupid. I'm gonna have it at 30.
Future doctor
you'll be
JP,
fine,
this
man.
one goes out to you.
Yeah, seriously. I mean, this is my my time capsule statement.
That's true.
Do the thing.
Yes.
I have one that's super pertinent. I think if I'm talking to my last year self, to 2018 JP,
Yeah, let's move
about
on
this
to the
time,
2018.
the real question at hand. If I'm talking to this motherfucker, I'd be like,
hey, come on, man.
I'd be like,
He was a good kid. I
he's
knew him.
okay. He's
dead.
I knew him.
He's dead to me.
I'd be like, you gotta not say yes to everything. You say yes to everything and you overwork yourself. And that's something I still do. But it's just like, last year and even maybe a little bit of the year before that, I just kept doing these things. Like I wanted to say yes to everyone and I wanted to take all these jobs and I didn't want to miss an opportunity. I really tried to like double down on like, hey, can you do this gig? Hey, can you play this music for me? Hey, can you learn this in a couple months? And I'd be like, hell yeah, I'll do all of it. And then I'd come down and be like, oh my God, I can't learn this. It's so much work and I don't have any time. And it really messes with you because it's like,
You accepted it, yeah.
yeah, and you can't say no. And then you have to question, like, am I bad? Like, am I a bad artist or am I a bad musician? And really the issue is that you haven't learned to prioritize, like, things
a
and
realistic way, too.
place things in a very nice and neat way so that it comes out representing you in a very good way. And that's something that is a really good personal lesson to keep moving forward is like, the things that you do, like, and this is something I don't know why I didn't make this a priority earlier on, but like, and it's something they like instill in you in high school too. It's just like everything that you do is just like an example of your whole personality and of how you are. And so like it's important that all of the work you do becomes like this shining, glimmering nugget, you know, and you don't want to hand in something like a piece of shit, you know, like, yeah, because like, so last year I definitely had my first quarter, like my first semester of master's degree. Like I was like, okay, I'm in it. I'm going to work really hard on piano. And then I definitely sacrificed a few things because I didn't say no to a few things. So I had to half-ass a bunch of stuff and I didn't feel good about it. And so like what I would really think is just like everything you do needs to have enough time to be very good. You know, it can't just be good. It's got to be like tip top, because this is the stuff that people are going to go off of, especially since it's the most recent thing now. And so like anything that you agree to do or any sort of job that you take on, it has to be like tip top, and it's got to be like as good as you can make it. Because like if it's not, then people are just going to assume like that's just that's the way you operate, right? And that's just a bad representation of yourself. And like the only real enemy you have then is you, right? If you're not putting in as much as you like absolutely can for a project, it's you who's the issue. And I can't stand being personally responsible for like any downfalls or pitfalls. And so like so it really boils down to like prioritizing things in a very specified and structured manner so that you have enough time to work on it and saying no.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a great piece of advice just in general.
Right.
Yeah.
It's like, you know, especially when you're young, you want to like take all these things on. You want to do project after project. And I think that's something we've realized with like even this podcast is like, I want to do this podcast a lot, but like there's a lot of times when we're just like super busy and we like, you know, when are we going to make time to record again? When are we going to do this or that? And I want to do this project and this project, and you can't feasibly do everything, right?
Yeah.
Everything needs to have like a time and a place for it. You got to live a pretty structured lifestyle in order to get things done.
That's why we're on a bi-weekly schedule, or at least what hopes to look
No,
like a
we're
bi-weekly
kind
schedule.
of whatever, dude.
Yeah,
we're just
pretty
doing
much.
this for doing.
Anywhere
What are
in
you talking
between
about?
2
This
to 3
is
weeks.
this is bi-weekly schedule. Yeah,
Bro,
We're consistently
we
1 month late on all the holidays that we talk
Do we
about.
really have one 2 weeks ago?
Yeah, we
more or
have
less 2 or 3 weeks
Or
ago.
4 weeks ago.
4 weeks ago.
Okay, come on.
It's consistently between 2 and 3 weeks. So.
Okay, that's fair.
I at
Honestly-
one point said let's have this release on every second Wednesday, and then I don't know, it's somewhere in the 2 weeks. We're not getting paid for this, so we can do whatever the hell we want.
Yeah, right? That's what I'm saying. Why can't we
put
do
up
it?
we put up quality material though for the most part,
It comes out timely enough,
capsule,
right?
Yeah.
I mean, really though, if anyone's really paying attention, we're not even on a bi-weekly schedule. We're on a holiday schedule.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah,
There you go.
there you go.
Nobody cares.
we're a
It's okay.
holiday cast, and we'll take
We're
any
doing it
holiday we can
whenever
get.
we want.
We should do that. We should make it like we just count all the Hallmark like holidays.
Oh, God.
Like what's today? Today is National what Day?
I don't know. It's always a national something day.
Leif Erikson did.
National
That's every
Donut
day.
Day was like a while ago. I remember that.
When was that?
Leif Erikson Day? I don't know. I looked it up at one point, but I don't remember anymore.
Is it in March?
Possibly.
Oh, dude, you know what day is today? Okay, let's see. National Pizza Day is observed annually on February 9th. Pizza's great.
We had pizza today, so
Yeah, we did a
okay,
pizza.
we celebrated.
October 9.
National Bagel Day and National Toothache Day.
That's
anyone's-
a kind of shitty day to
Why do we have a
celebrate.
toothache day?
Yeah, I thought you were only supposed to celebrate good things, not toothaches.
On this, you know, with the same logic, we can like celebrate stupid things too. National Broke My Foot Today Day.
Yeah.
Right? National Lost
National
All My Money.
Testicular Torsion Day.
Oh, don't say that. For any of you who don't know what testicular torsion
It's
is,
exactly what it
look
sounds
up.
like.
Oh no.
Just look it up. Feel bad for anyone who has to deal with it.
Take 2 grapes on a vine and just twist that shit.
Mo-
Spin it like a washing machine.
Stop.
good old moment of silence for the sufferers
Yeah, just
out there.
let that one sit. And
I like to think that our main demographic base of listeners are testicular torsion sufferers.
Oh, sorry.
This one
We're
goes out to you
sympathizing
guys.
with you guys. Yeah, this one's for you.
One of us is gonna get it, so like nose
Let's
goes.
just knock on wood. Oh boy, here comes the karma.
Yeah, seriously, we deserve that one.
No.
Dan, what for you? What about 2018, Dan?
Shoot, man.
Don't get testicular torsion.
That's good advice. I mean,
Do you know how to avoid that?
I think
Don't
I've been
sit
doing a
cross-legged.
decent job.
Don't sit cross-legged. Don't get super stressed out.
Really?
Yeah, stress
That's how
doesn't
it happens?
doesn't help it.
Well, oh, jeez. I don't want to think about it.
Are you feeling it happen right now?
He's
Are
like,
they-
oh
are they
god,
trusting
it's
I'm
happening. It's
adjusting
happening.
I'm adjusting right now.
Why does it sound like
I don't know. It's like a rusty,
rusty
nut.
screws?
It is a rusty nut. Oh, this is awful. Sorry to anybody who's actually suffering through testicular torsion.
My tube's tied.
How did we get here?
I don't know.
Like
I never understand. Dude, I don't remember what we talked about like 5 minutes ago. I don't remember what we talked about in the
I'm
last
gonna look up what
podcast.
testicular torsion day is on the U.S.
boy.
calendar.
If it actually is a thing, that'll be amazing. Nothing to 12
Is it
times.
contortion?
Testicular
really
torsion.
No, there's no
Okay.
day for it.
Torsion,
We're
not
okay.
contortion.
We're safe.
But nothing to tell 2018 Dan, 2019 Dan. You can be as ambiguous and codified as you want with your message.
Yeah, I like JP's one. This was pretty good. Saying no to stuff instead of like taking on a larger load than you can handle.
Yeah, dude.
Okay.
It's real.
Recognizing what is appropriate to say no to is important.
Yeah, that's a good point. Right? Like,
And that's where prioritization comes in. Recognizing what you need to prioritize. It's a difficult thing.
Agreed.
But yeah, if I got better at that, then that would be something I could tell my 2018 self, and then that'd be something that
hey,
it's more of something I just learned in 2018 rather than something I could tell my 2018.
yeah, but I guess like, you know,
That's the whole point of this, though.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was
Now you know
the
when you
learning from
didn't
our
know,
mistakes.
so.
That's the theme we went back on.
but now the thing is like, apply.
Apply it, yeah. So
What's up, 2018, Aaron?
Oh, what would I tell 2018 Aaron?
Yeah, what are you gonna tell him?
Keep chugging along.
Chug,
You're doing a decent job.
big chuggus.
Big chuggas.
Chungus.
Yeah, it's fat Aaron.
Yeah, I'd say just, keep doing what you're doing.
Yeah.
You're doing a good job. Probably try a little bit harder. Not that you're not doing or that you did a bad job, but there's always room for improvement.
There you go.
This is kind of just me talking to myself right now, honestly. But keep doing what you're doing.
I think trusting the process is such a big thing.
Yes.
You know, like if you can trust the process when you're working, like, so all of these points really come together. Like when you're prioritized correctly and you're structured correctly, you can trust that process to work for you. And you got to chug because like that's the only way you're going to get through this is if you chug, right?
Yeah.
If you chung. And so,
Keep chung.
My beer's gone already.
Keep chugging along.
yeah.
So I know. Hold on. I would tell 2018 Aaron to pick a different fucking car because he already spent over $1,000 trying to fix a damn thing. So pick a different car. But other than that,
I think the first mistake was trying to invest in a Volvo. There's a reason why they don't sell them anymore.
That's a Saturn.
that was
Oh, it's a Saturn.
Same thing though. They don't sell those anymore.
Yeah. Yeah, the Saturn's extra extinct at this point.
Volvos are still around.
Yeah. I think I meant to say Saturn, but I just completely forgot. Like I misconstrued it.
Okay.
Yeah. Let's see. What about a stupid thing that I can tell myself to do? I would tell 2018 JP to drink a lot more.
Nice.
You know, don't worry so much about the calories. Go for the liquor because that's
Okay.
less calories.
nice.
Right?
Yeah. If
Also,
you fill up on alcohol, you won't have to eat.
yeah, exactly. I think the other thing I would tell him is that you're worried about, lactose intolerance. It goes away.
That's awesome.
It's gone. Yeah, it's
That's
great.
a great thing, JP.
I know. It's
From 2018, we'd be very happy to hear that.
Dude, it's
I'm
fantastic.
sure.
Yeah, I know.
There we
If I could go back and be like, "Hey, dude, don't worry about it," it'd be like,
Just eat that mac and cheese, pussy.
dude. One time I made like homemade mac and cheese for my friends, and I dumped like 3 pounds of cheese in it with like bacon too. I got sick eating that really bad. Like,
What?
that's
Oh,
something worth getting sick
but
of.
the thing is, everyone got sick eating that too because there was so much richness to the cheese and
Nice.
like the fat of the bacon. Good times, dude. I miss that mac and cheese.
They're great. Anything dumb to tell 2018, Dan?
Dumb.
Yeah.
Go to that concert that we keep missing every year.
The J. Cole concert we missed, and then there's in April is the Periphery concert.
Bet.
We got to go to that.
We
one.
really should go to that one.
Mm.
We really have no excuse to miss it this time
Yeah,
around.
yeah,
Right?
I feel that. 'Cause
Right.
I always
We
start the vacation. Like get our vacation days or whatever.
Trying to go to a metal concert, Aaron?
When?
April.
April.
If I'm free.
Actually, nothing metal concert. Hang. It's about as useful as a Reddit.
We're gonna bring
meetup.
our setup in there while we're while the metal concert's going on. And you can't hear anything other than the metal music. It's just like an hour and a half long of us. I'm like, yeah, I edited this to make sure that the
Record
conversation.
the mashing.
Yeah.
Or the moshing, sorry.
We could just record the entire thing and bootleg it.
Yeah.
Really poor bootlegging.
Then we'll actually get copyright stricken for stealing other people's work.
I feel like we missed an opportunity to call ourselves a very poor bootlegging for our podcast name, right? But I think the current name actually more aptly fits what we do,
It does.
right?
What else would we have called it?
I don't know. I think like it was a fortuitous.
That's why I like
use
the name
of
so
it.
much because it just stuck. I was like, that's really good.
Yeah, I think it was excellent.
It's
I-
a hang.
It is it's a hangcast, you know.
It's a hangcast.
I think like, you know, lots of stupid things to tell ourselves from the last year. Probably the one thing I wish they would have done more is like eat out, like try out all of Chicago's food a lot more. I was always so busy. I'm like, I can't do this. I don't have any money to do this. When feasibly I could have probably done it like, I don't know, once every month or so. Like, go try this place. Like, don't get stuck in the same rut of all the places you normally eat. Times are different though. I think the important thing to take away from all of this is like, we all look back on it and kind of think nostalgically, like, what would have been. But like I said before, like, it's a good opportunity for us to like evaluate the things that we would have told ourselves and be like, maybe I should do these things more often now. Right. The saying no thing is a big deal for me. Like, I have a hard time like telling people I can't do it because like, I don't want to be the bearer of bad news. I'd rather some like weird supernatural circumstance happen where I can't do it. And just out of obligation, it's like, oh, I'm sorry. Like, this thing happens, so I just really can't do it, and it's not my fault. Because I feel like I assume responsibility when I have to say no. And so, like, you're not being responsible by saying yes, knowing full well you couldn't do it. So,
Exactly.
yeah. But so, I think really the important thing is the things that you would have done last year or even years prior, like, how do you, like, apply that to things you could do?
Now.
Yeah, now. And because, like we said, this advice doesn't it's not like it ages poorly. It's always going to be relevant. You know, even the small things that can be tweaked a little bit here and there, like, or priorities that we're making now, like, they might get tweaked. Still, like, the same sort of deal will happen. I think, like, in 10 years you'll still be like, hey, maintain focus, or hey, keep doing this, like, hey, keep chugging. It's always going to be a present thing. I think if you work in a structured environment, you know, that process will always just provide some sort of like success in any sort of way. And here's the big arc with our success video.
Oh yeah.
It's really
bag.
it's really more just about like how you view it, right? Success is super relative in any sort of sense.
Yep.
And so like as long as you're meeting a goal and setting those goals and knocking them down one by one, like, you're doing it.
It's moving forward, I think, is the key words here.
Yes.
So
A very hopeful entrance to 2019 in February, where our year starts. Gungi Fat Choi.
yeah.
What's that?
The Actually Nothing New Year actually coincides more with the Chinese New Year.
Yeah.
So like,
okay.
yeah.
Yeah.
What is the year of the year this year is what?
It's the
Or the pig. That's my
Yes,
year, man.
pig.
Ooh, and Peter's year, I think.
Last
no,
year
Peter's
was
a
the
rat.
rooster.
The
We're
rooster?
dogs.
Yeah, we're dogs.
Yeah. 94 was dogs.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You're the piggies.
Yep.
Nice.
We dogs.
What happens in the year of the piggies?
Lots of
I was
bacon.
born.
I gotta read through that. You know, in all those Chinese restaurants, they have like the big chart. It tells you like
the Chinese
I
zodiac.
gotta read
Oh,
through
yeah.
the Chinese zodiac again.
Chinatown, man.
I've been trying to go back. Like, I really want
I
to
haven't
go.
been to
And
Chinatown in a long time.
you guys trying to go?
Had some good bubble tea.
Yeah,
there.
dude. They have some good
Joy
bubble tea.
Yi.
No, man, it's not about Joy's anymore.
Really?
It's about some better stuff down there.
The
Yeah,
underground stuff.
yeah. Well, there's just so many things in Chinatown you can get to.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
those dudes in the shop. They're just chopping fish. Right? They're
Yeah.
chopping their heads up right there in front of you.
Is there anything else we should close out with? Like
A note to
advice, or not advice, but like
The
A note
turtles
to-
are
a note
nice.
to
a
our-
note to a future to
Yeah,
end of
yeah.
2019.
I like
us?
note to future self.
Okay.
Like the note to future self should be like don't waste time.
Okay.
You know, it's all limited. Also, go to Chinatown.
Okay.
Yeah.
Dan, anything for end of 2019, Dan? to hear?
No.
Okay.
Solid.
Good job that you did what you did.
Yeah.
Things got better, so good for you.
Things will keep getting better.
Things will keep getting better. So
Maybe
good job, 2019.
when the
Aaron.
car is at the lowest point, it only goes up.
Yes.
Right. I also think like, you have to balance, like you need to work hard, but you gotta like, you can't always work hard, right? You work too hard and you might like work yourself into a rut,
Mm-hmm.
and then you hate what you do. So like, definitely a lot times of work, and like try to enjoy the times of work, and then like understand that you need to rest.
Yeah.
Care is a big thing.
Enjoy the situation that you're in.
Yeah.
Make the best of it.
Right. Self-care will be the next one we do.
Maybe.
We'll see.
That's gonna be one of them for sure.
Yeah.
But
Podcast over and out.
that's it. Yeah. Bye.
See ya.